Hey everybody, it's Yvonne from Western Star Art and Wear. I was going to come on and read another chapter of my dad's book, Up from the Dust. His name was Clayton. He wrote it about his life growing up as a part sharecropper, working in the cotton mills. Anyway, we're on chapter 22 if you've been following along, and I will get started. That night, Ma said that she was going to tell us all some stories about the goings-on in her past. The first one was about a girl that Ma knew. Her ma had died and left her with her stepfather. Well, sir, seems that she was so unhappy that he would hear her sing this song most all the time. It went like this, and Ma scraped and coughed and sneezed several times till she cleared up her throat. Then she commenced on the song. Daughter, oh daughter, my own dear daughter, read and pray to your own dear Jesus. You'll be no orphan left alone. Many times I've walked the graveyard hoping and praying that time would come when I'd be buried by my mother and I'd be no orphan left alone. When Ma got to these high notes, her face would get so red that I thought she was going to bust a gut or something. Finally, she'd come to a screeching halt and us kids just kind of looked on and wondered what was next. Now this orphan gal was so miserable that she just kept going up to the graveyard and walking and so forth till there came a knocking under their house. No one could figure out what it was, and they even had some men come out with their fierce dogs and was going to run out whatever it was. But the dogs knew what it was, and that was a haint, and they weren't about to be tackling no ghost. So they just put their tails between their legs and run off. No amount of coaxing could get them to come back. Finally said, well, we'll just have to ask the haint what it wants. Well, sir, no one knowed how to ask a haint anything, not having had any dealings with a haint or a ghost. Now, my grandma, she was named Pank, and she was some sort of a doctor or something like that, and she delivered babies and cared for the sick and could jump on a bareback horse that was 15 hands high from a flat-footed start. That's when she was 75 years old, mind you. Well, they put it up to my grandpa to tell this gal how to talk to a haint and how to ask what it wanted. Well, that night we all gathered around the room and sat out in the yard and about every other place one could get. Pretty soon the haint started to beat up on the floor again. Boom, boom, boom. It was a hammering out. They put this gal in a chair right over the noise, and Aunt Prank, as we called her, told this gal what to say. Now she was a-sitting on a Bible and had one hand on her heart. Now you say, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, pray tell me, what is it that you want with me? And the haint answered, and all of us had their hair raised up on our heads, and it said, I want you to leave this house. After that, all of them got together and found a good home for her, and she never walked the graveyard any more. Well, after we had heard this story, we were scared to death, and any little noise would put us on end. A dog or something ran a cat under the house and bumped its head a time or two, and all of us just about climbed the walls. What was that, Ma lowed, and looked all around at us young'uns. We thought that it was a haint for sure. Pa had an old breech-loader shotgun that hung on the wall in the kitchen, and a couple of shells was there on the table. Now, Ma didn't know the first thing about shooting a gun of any kind. She was always talking on that some man was going to break in and violate her. She took this gun down and broke it down and put in a shell. There were number 4s, I guess, 'cause Pa used that kind when he was hunting squirrels. About that time we heard the noise again, and all of us gathered up in a gang, each one thinking that the other one was going to do something about it. Ma hollered out, who is that? No one answered, 'cause it was probably a dog, and didn't know or care anything about the hollering we was doing. Anyway, Mom says, if y'all don't speak, I'll blow you to kingdom come, and I mean that. We heard the scuffling again, and Ma went over to the noise and pressed the gun right over the sound. It was a wonder that it didn't blow her up and us too, but it didn't. She pulled the trigger and it sounded like a cannon went off. Of course, at that time I didn't know the first thing about cannons, but I sure did learn later from both ends. When the smoke cleared and the plaster stopped falling down, we could see all of us again. Ma was standing there with all that plaster on her head and her club all messed up. She had 2 circles for her eyes. Dang me if she didn't look just like a haint for sure. I guess that will learn anybody not to come a-messing with me, huh? We all lowed as much. The next morning, Pa come home and wanted to know what had happened, and Ma told him. It's a wonder that you weren't all blowed up. That old gun must have been built right. I still don't see how all that plaster fell. I guess it was the percussion from the gun. I'll have to put in some new flooring because if that guy finds out, he'll throw us out of this house since I owe him 2 months' rent already. Old man John Clayton has a sleeping sickness, and his wife aims to rent out this house that he has. This old feller has a store and a few groceries, candy, flour, coffee, and that sort of stuff. I was up there the other day, and old John was a-talking to me, and all of a sudden he just up and fell off to sleep. He was a-snoring when I was getting ready to leave. His wife comes out and says, "That's the way he does most any time. Some doctors from uptown says he won't be with us very long." Anyways, his place has several acres of ground and a lot of wood in the rear of it, and we could cut our own stove and firewood. That place is just what we need. Don't you think so, old woman? Ma said that she thought so as well. William had bought him a guitar since he had been working, and he was learning how to play it. This little old gal that he had been going off and on with for the last year lived just up the hill from us. Her name was Helen. We all called her My Hope, My Die. I think that meant I hope to die. The way she comes by this name was she was talking to ya, and she'd be pulling the hair out of her eyes with her hand and say, "Well, if what I'm saying is not the truth, then I hope to die." Her pa had died with a heart attack, and her ma was left with about 6 kids that they had to feed and raise. So she was a-trying to get old William into matrimony. He was about 17 or 18. Well, sir, he was a-plunking on the old guitar and a-singing under the tree for all that he was worth. The song was "Nobody's Darling on Earth." He was letting all of us have it with all of his lungs capacity when old Hope My Die pipes up from over at her house where all of us and the neighbors could hear. "Now you know that hain't true," she hollered. It near about caused old William to bust a gut. He got all red and couldn't play his guitar after that. So he went in the house and didn't practice any more for a spell. 'Cause now his old gal, she just didn't want to let up at all. She was after old William tooth and nail. A couple of weeks later, Ma caught them up where Pa had the old Model T parked. They had them a quilt, and William was a-making out with her. Ma corners him down at the house and asks him how long that this had been going on. "A couple of weeks or so," he lowed. "Why, you might have that gal in the family way, and you'll have to marry her. Now, don't you know that that's what she wants?" "I don't know, Ma, what she wants, but I do know I like her." "There you go, being a sinful about it, just like your pa. Even if they would cut off your head and look inside, there'd be a devil right there on top. Why, I read a parable just the other day about this old town of Sodom and Gomorrah. Why, these fellas done everything that there was to do and was a-trying to do the angels that come up to fire up the town. Oh, Lord, look down on this boy and help him to come out of his sinful ways." William was a-pulling away, and Ma put a hammerlock on him and forced him to the ground. "This boy, Lord, he is a spewing of the life, and I want you to learn him how to be good and lead him in the right way and not be so hard on him since he's just starting out." Now, I read about this feller that was going out of that sinful place with his wife and 2 daughters. These angels had done told his wife not to look back or she'd turn to a pillar of salt. Being like a woman, she just had to look back and was turned to a pillar of salt. The others kept getting up and didn't look back, and they went on. Still, I know that this is your doings, but I don't take to them gals and their pa getting drunk and such, and saying that it was for the seed to be replenished. I have replenished plenty of seeds, believe me. Now that all of this is going on in your world, I want you to look favorable on my boy and try to help him all you can, and if this gal won't be in the family way, I'd be much obliged. Amen. She let old William get up, and he took off. "Go thy way and sin no more," Ma screamed at him, "and then you'll come white as snow." She lit in to doing the shimmy, and all of us looked on. Well, the little old gal turned up not to be knocked up after all, and William got off the hook. But they just found them another place, and William got him some condoms. Things went along pretty good till I started to school up at the town. I dreaded it because I knowed that they didn't like us cotton hillers, and I was one of them. But I'd been uptown most every day this last year, and I thought they shouldn't be surprised to see me. At least that's what I was hoping for. I went to town and bought my helmet and hid it under the bed till I started to school. I didn't want Pa to find out about it till the last minute because I knew he would pitch a fit. Finally, here come the fatal day, the one where I had to go uptown to school with all them folks that hated us cotton hillers. Us poor folks was poison. I had on a pair of breeches faded with many washings and a blue cotton shirt and a pair of shoes. That was too little for me, 'cause I hadn't been shod throughout the summer since last March. My feet didn't take too kindly to no shoes covering them and not being allowed to breathe and spread out, but that was all out of my hands. The biggins told me what and when to do it, all but one thing, and that was the Lindenberg helmet and goggles. Yes, sir, that put me right up there with them in all classes. I was as proud of that helmet as a black hen with a white chick. I pulled her out from under my shirt after I got out of sight from the house and put her on. I was a-stepping along there like a man in a claw-hammered coat tail and a stovetop hat, a real fishing suit. I was a-whistling a little tune when I saw Clotilde a-comin' at me. We met up and shook hands. We both wanted to hold on to one another for a little, but it was in the streets and we had to hold off. "Where you been, Skeeter? I've been looking for you a time or two down at the spring." "I sho do wish I would have known," I lowed, "'cause I've missed you very much." And we squeezed hands. "I thought that your ma might not let you come any more 'cause of the time she caught you talking to me." "Nah, she's gotten over that. She done got her a job over there at the Dry Prize. They work till after the bacca season, so she won't be riding me for a while." "Where you going all dressed up, and the glasses that don't come down over your eyes?" "It's my first day over at the town school, and this is a Lindenburn helmet. You just pull the glasses down when the wind is a-blowing hard." "Well, it sure is something." She says. "My mom and pa told me that I can't go to school no more. They says that I done know too much already." "Well, I got to be getting on up there before they count me absent. When can we see each other again?" "I think I can get out Wednesday Eve, if you can make it," she lowed. "Well, that is one time that I'll just have to be there. I know a place that we can hide and talk or whatever comes up." I bet you sho does." I left her and went on up to the school. The first bell was a-ringing when I walked up into the yard. Well, sir, it was not anything that I hadn't expected, but a group of the boys commenced to hollerin'. Ed sneed, "Ned, here comes another cottonhead." Then they yelled, "Cottonhead, cottonhead, cottonhead." I guess my reputation with the switchblade and the rifle had preceded me, because they didn't crowd me at all. I went to the room that they had told me to go to at Cotton Hill. I think that the teacher's name was Mrs. Darnell or something to that effect. She assigned us all to our seats, and I got one just about in the front row with a gal named Flonnie and a gal behind me called Ruby. I don't recall their last names. "Now, children, my name is Mrs. Darnell, and I'm your 4th grade teacher. As long as you behave and do your lessons, I'll get along all right with you. If you dilly-dally or talk in school, you'll answer to me." And she showed us a paddle. "You'll get a licking according to what your offense is. I'll give you a list of the books that you'll have to buy, and paper, pencils, and colors that you'll have to have, and this is a must. If you can't get the books, you'll just have to drop out of school. We can't be wasting our time on someone that can't hold up their end of the bargain, so to speak. The rules are no talking in school, no note passing in class, no copying of the other feller's paper. No one will be excused between classes. You will have to wait to recess to do what you have to do. This morning won't be a real school day. I'll just give you a list and tell you what to bring tomorrow. Also, you'll have to bring your lunch if you have any. If you can't bring your lunch, you'll just have to sit at your desk and fold your hands and wait while the other kids are eating and no talking. Now, are there any questions before we let out the day?" No one held up their hand. "One other thing. These commodes in our toilet room are new, and there will be someone there the first day to show you how to use them. And we don't want any of you that had never had a toilet messing them up for us. So if you have to go in the morning before school, let the boy or girl in the toilet room show you how to use them. We take you to the 8th grade here, and then from there you'll go to the Roxborough High School. That's some of you. Some of you will not make it through the 8th grade here. That's all for now. Be sure to bring what I have put on the list and be here in the morning for a full day." I took the list and headed for home, but I knew that it wouldn't be no use to ask Pa for the books. I remembered that Pearl had started uptown school. Then they had to pull her out to work in the mill when she finished the 4th grade. I was going to ask her if she had any of the books left over from her year up there. I wore my helmet with pride on the way home and wondered how I'd tell my pa about it. I met up with Chin Green, and he told me that Sissy had been looking for me over on Depot Street. She said that she was going to visit her aunt over in Helena and was going to go to school over there, and she wanted to see me before she left. I went and looked for her, but she weren't nowhere to be found. I met up with Legit King, and he told me that she had already gone. Her ma had sent her on the train to Helena and said to tell me that she would be back at Christmas and not to forget her. I never saw that girl again until I was grown up. We moved and went back on the farm. I hated that I missed her. She was the gal that first learnt me how to kiss, and those games of hopscotch that she beat me at, and the one I finally beat her. Yes, sir, I was sure going to miss that gal. And that is the end of chapter 22. I hope you guys are enjoying this, and I hope everyone has a wonderful Labor Day. We are headed over to Idaho just to go to a little sail under the freeway in a town over there called Wallace. Anyway, I might be on later to either read another chapter or do a craft. I'm not sure. I got a couple things going on. But anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and God bless, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.